This presentation will cover the mathematics domain of geometry. After viewing this presentation, you will be able to identify the areas included in the domain of geometry, identify the concepts children need to learn as they develop geometric skills, describe how geometry is used in daily activities, and list the stages of geometric understanding. When we talk about geometry, we are talking about the study of space and shape. Young children begin to use cues from the environment to orient themselves in relation to the world. Babies first learn about physical knowledge of space. They learn to view their mother's face or move around the environment. Then children begin to develop judgments about space. They learn to examine the relationship between themselves and their environment, and they learn to make judgments about how things relate to each other. They develop spatial sense. Spatial sense is a person's way of using cues from the environment to orient oneself in relation to the world. Our perceptions of shapes can change depending on distance, view, and perspective. The development of spatial sense is an essential tool for mathematical thinking using geometry. Some people seem to have a natural ability to perceive things in the environment. The good news for educators is that research has shown visual imagery and spatial abilities can improve with practice. So as early childhood educators, we need to provide geometrical experiences to help children develop these skills. Young children begin their study of geometry with topography. Topography is the study of relationships between objects, places, or events. Young children typically need experience in many sizes of space to develop spatial abilities. These experiences can be categorized into the concepts of proximity, separation, order, and enclosure. Proximity refers to questions about position, direction, and distance, and can answer the questions of "Where am I?" or "Where are you?" "Which way?" and "Where is it?" Some positional words children learn through geometrical experiences include in, out, above, below, forward, backward, around, through, and near, far. Children also learn the concept of separation. Separation refers to the ability to see a whole object as composed of individual parts or pieces. It helps teach children boundaries. These can be demonstrated by the everyday experiences of standing behind the yellow line, rivers separating parts of town, children riding bikes, and mom saying, "Stay on this side of the big tree," stopping at the corner, and looking before crossing the street. Some activities that help teach separation include playing with jigsaw puzzles, playing with Legos, paper dolls, and models that come apart. Order refers to the sequence of objects or events. Typically, we describe order as moving from first to last or last to first. Children may be able to demonstrate the sequence of events before they are able to use language such as first, second, or third. So teachers should make sure sequencing activities are very visual and concrete until teachers are sure that the children can apply this language consistently. Patterning and matching activities can help develop a sense of order. Finally, children develop the concept of enclosure, which really refers to being surrounded by objects. An example of this is a fence that defines the backyard space. Young children will often confuse perimeter with area. They may think the boundary, or the fence, is the same as the enclosure, or the yard. Activities involving templates can help develop these different spaces. Geoboards can help children explore this concept in the classroom. By moving the rubber bands, children learn to change shapes and create different areas. Another geometric concept children develop is space. Opportunities to play in spaces of a variety of sizes are crucial for infants and toddlers, while parents and caregivers can use positional and directional words to develop the language associated with spatial concepts. Space can be divided into categories of large space, medium, and small space. Large spaces include areas such as playgrounds, fields, equipment to climb, running games, jumping on trampolines, etc. These are areas in which children can roam and explore not only by distance, but also through height. Medium space experiences include rooms or floor spaces that allow for activities such as block building or housekeeping where children can climb inside the creations. Small space activities are also important. These include activities such as tabletop-sized buildings, using Legos, Duplos, and other building materials. In essence, small space activities are items that can fit into a child's hand. Another concept developed in early childhood is the concept of shape. Shape is the study of rigid figures, their properties, and the relationship to one another. Children learn how to identify and describe three-dimensional figures or space figures such as a ball or an ice cream cone, as well as the two-dimensional plane figures such as a circle or a square. An instructional goal of early childhood shape curriculum is for young children to discriminate one form from another form. Geometric experiences can be found in many aspects of everyday life. In school, children may use geometry in their art projects, in learning about geography, and geometry can be used in many directives given by teachers, such as line up in the front of the room. Adults use geometry when reading maps, home decorating, auto design, and gardening. As many school subjects, careers, and everyday activities depend on a knowledge of geometry, teachers must make a conscious effort to implement the geometry learning standards in the early years. Dutch mathematicians Dina van Huyl-Geldof and her husband Pierre-Marie van Huyl described 5 levels of developmental thinking and reasoning in geometry. In Level 1, Visualization, children are able to recognize and name figures based on their perception of the whole figure. At this stage, children will say a square cannot be a rectangle because they look different. At Level 2, Analysis, children are able to describe attributes. Here the child will be able to say a square has 4 corners and 4 sides that are the same, but will not be able to see the relationship of certain shapes to other shapes. In Level 2, Informal Deduction, children begin to classify and generalize by attributes. This is where the child is able to recognize that a square is a rectangle because it has 4 sides and 4 right angles. Level 3 is Deduction. Developing proofs and using axioms and definitions is a concept that is developed in high school mathematics courses. And Level 4, Rigor, working in various geometrical systems, is the level in which people are able to use formal deduction and learn non-Euclidean geometry. Teachers of young children are primarily concerned with teaching levels 0 through levels 2, which set the foundation for future geometric learning. Unlike Piaget's levels of development, which are based on age, this progression is based on the child's experience and education. The ideal time to learn about shapes and develop basic spatial concepts is between the ages of 3 to 6 years. However, children ages 3 to 6 are reluctant to give up their notions about what constitutes a particular shape. Therefore, it is important that teachers, caregivers, and parents use precise language with children. Many times in our daily lives, we use geometric terms in a way that might be misleading to children later on. For example, when describing a triangle, we should be talking about the fact that triangles have 3 sides, with all straight lines and all the sides connected. Then we should provide children with many varied examples of each shape. We should also be sure to provide and discuss non-examples so children can solidify their understanding of each shape. This slide lists some important geometric topics that are covered in the early elementary grades. Such topics include, but are not limited to, recognizing shape, creating mental images of shapes, discovering the property of shapes, topological geometry of open and closed figures, motion geometry including slides, flips, and turns, early perspective and points of view, learning about lines of symmetry, early concepts of area and volume, and early concepts of measuring angles. In summary, the goal of early instruction in geometry is to begin the process of developing spatial sense. Spatial sense is fostered in an atmosphere that helps the child experience shape and experience space in appropriate ways. This can happen through informal daily experiences as well as formal experiences such as block building, paper folding, and using geoboards. Whatever the case, it is important that teachers and families provide geometric experiences and instruction to build a solid foundation for children's future success.